Hi, Julie Torrens here. So I'm bringing you along for a bit of an experiment. I went to the Library of Congress website to an area that they say is free to use and reuse. And then it says that it's public domain. These are 3 documents. I have 4 total, but 3 documents that I printed up from Thomas Jefferson. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a collage. And I want part of my collage to be documents like this. And so I printed them up on my cheapest what would you say? It's printer paper. Just the cheapest printer paper that I have. And that's because I wanted it thin and crispy, but I do have a laser jet printer, so I can do watercolor and not harm it. Let's get some of this. Okay. So I took these documents and I put them on a photo manipulator, and I put them at 300 dpi, which is 300 dots per inch, to have the resolution be up there a little bit. And then I am getting a third sheet. I like these numbers up here. Can you see those? So anyway, and then I sized them so that they would be about the size 8.5 by 11. Now, some of these look like they were done on scratch paper. I know paper was not as plentiful back in the day. Some of these look like they were written with pen. Most of them, like this looks like it was written in pen. But like this, to me, almost looks like a pencil. Don't know, but. So what inspired me to do this? I like that. Okay. What inspired me to do this is watching Gail Agostinelli. We all watch Gail, don't we? And Gail was doing just some ephemera. She was, what would you say? She was decorating. She was embellishing. And she was using some collage papers that were from her printables. And then also, I believe, some from Joey Cardmaker. But they were collage prints. I could even overlap that, couldn't I? Why not? And so I just loved as she was tearing these. And, you know, she pretty much tears in rectangles and squares. She doesn't generally tear all cattywampus like I do. And she was creating just beautiful bases for like pockets and things. So I was just thinking, you know, I would love to have some of my own collage papers that have like maybe some of my watercolor and things like that. Well, you have to use, look at that. Can you see what I did? I'm trying to do what so many people do, and you know, they say that they're heavy-handed, and that's why their glue stick works so well. Yeah, well, I heavy-handed that one all right, didn't I? Okay, I just wanted to get that little part that I missed. So I thought, okay, I'm going to watercolor a collage sheet. What do you think? So I added these bits of document for, like a change in my collage. I've got my watercolors. First thing I'm going to do is I did tear so that I would get some edges, and I'm going straight into sepia, and I'm just going to see if I can just kind of as if I inked up the edges. Now, my printer is a laser jet printer, so I'm not going to be smearing ink, but if you have a, what is the other kind of printer? Inkjet? Then you should be able to do this if you let that ink get good and dry. Like print up stuff and then let it sit overnight. And then I think it's better. I don't think it's completely waterproof, but I believe it's better that way. I can't say for sure, but give it a try. Experiment. That's what I'm doing right now. This is all a big experiment. Now I believe where the paper is tore and I can see where the watercolor is kind of clinging to the fibers. See, I think that'll pretty much stay put, but as I watercolor more, I think and this is watercolor paper. It is Amazon watercolor paper. It's their basics. And I did cut it to be 8.5 by 11 so that I can put this on my printer and reproduce. Yeah, okay. So that was my version of inking things up, okay? Now I'm going to just leave those alone. And the reason why I don't have this taped down is because I don't plan to have this whole thing wet where I'm going to worry about buckling, not all at one time. I'm going to work here, I'm going to work here, you know what I mean? So now I want to just get some of my own stuff, and I'm going to slide this a little. And I think I'm going to start out with something that I'm fairly familiar with. So I'm going into this color. I'm using my Rosa Gallery paints, and I'm going into the bright red, which I know is right here. Want it a little bit watery, and I'm going to make, my little version of roses, and I'll show you how I do that. But this is not a tutorial. We're just experimenting. All right, little rose. And I'm just making C shapes, a little bit exaggerated. And then I try to cross over the breaks. See, like I'm going to go way over here, crossing over that break. Oops, that's okay. And a little bit wider. Now it's almost like U shapes, or I guess C shapes still. But I'm making these petals just a little bit wider. Okay, I'm going to let that rest. I'm going to work on another one, a little bit smaller, like that. Little center. Sometimes when I make these, they look more like a peony. That's okay with me. They're fantasy flowers. I guess you could say that a rose is just kind of my inspiration. And I'm just widening out this last little group here of petals. And one more. So what is on your art desk and how are you doing? I'm still in a recovery mode, but I'm better. In my opinion, I'm better all the time. So that's good. Okay, I'm going to leave those go for a little bit and let them rest. I just rinsed my brush well. And I got some green going on here. And I think I was going to maybe put some leaves in there. I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to let them just dry. I'm going to turn my paper. And let's work over here in this little corner. What do you say? Everything's not going to be flowers. So I'm going into what they call bright blue. And I really don't have that out here. This is, I believe, the ultramarine, but I'm going to mix it. Yeah, that was ultramarine. So bright blue, ultramarine blue. Some of these things are going to be pure watercolor. Some of these are going to be areas with doodling. So I'm just making a rectangle here. I am not worried about having this all pin straight. It's watercolor, right? It's not printed in China. It's right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to put another one in, and it's going to be touching that one. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring this up even more into that brown that I have around the edges. And then maybe one more, like this. I like that. I'm going to add a little water to my brush. I just put the tip in, and I'm going to give it a once over. Here we go. I appreciate, again, everyone's well wishes and telling me to just relax. Don't worry about your channel. It means a lot, and I am grateful. All right, I am just rinsed my brush out. I'm going to go into this color. It's called emerald green, and it's kind of to me, it's like a phthalo green. And I'm just going to fill in right here. And yes, it may bleed and blur into that blue, and that's fine. There. And that's just going to be an area that I'm going to doodle on top. Okay, let's move this around. Roses are still wet. That's fine. Okay. Now, I'm going to add another color block. I'm going into the Cad Yellow Light. A little more water and a little more pigment. A little more water, a little more pigment. I'm taking it straight out of the pan. Okay, I want to make this a little bit bigger. All right, rinse. And I think what I'm going to do is put that yellow in another spot. Maybe I should put it right here and kind of act like that paper's on top. Okay. I like that. Okay, good. Now, rinse the brush. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like a little sprig or something. I'm switching brushes. I was just using my Princeton Snap number 6. I'm taking her down, going down to a number 2, and wetting my brush, dab, dab, making sure I get all that water off the ferrule. And I'm going back into this green. And I don't want to drag my hand and ruin something. All right, I'm going like this. Tip in the water, picking up some of that emerald green. Tip in the water. I am going into the emerald green pigment there. Okay, now I'm going to put a leaf at the top here. Okay, good. And now I'm just going to make some little branches. If you could hear a dog, it's not mine, it's downstairs. People that live below me. And I have no idea what he might be barking at. It could be the mailman. Sure could. All right, tip in the water, emerald green. Where am I? Here. All right. So has spring sprung where you are? It's trying to here, but we may get some rain mixed with snow or something like that on Monday. Today is Saturday. So, yep. I just put the tip of my brush in the water and got a little more pigment. We do have daffodils up here and there. Not in my complex, though. Where did I see them? In my daughter-in-law's. My son and daughter-in-law's garden. And you know, I know my daughter-in-law. She's the gardener. And oh, she just is fabulous. I know that she has dirt that, or soil, I guess I should say, that is very rich. And she uses fertilizers and mulch, and all that business doesn't go on here where I live. If it does, I've not seen the evidence of it. Oh, you know, there's a watering system. But I just know that where she has her little bulbs planted, it's a lot different type of care that goes on. And I think that's why she's got nice early bulbs. You know, I'm not a horticulturist. I don't know for sure, but that's my best guess. All right, now let's get some leaves on these other little branches, and then we'll decide where we need some more. When I make videos on a Saturday, there tends to be more. I'm gonna put a leaf here because I think it's gonna be easy for me to miss that one. There's more outside noises, that's for sure. Now, once summer hits, well, then we've got lawn guys and we've got more people walking their animals out, their dogs. When I say animals, it sounds like a zoo, but they're walking their dogs and things like that outside. And so you just hear a little bit more of that kind of thing. And also, you know, the window's open. Now, I do have a window open in my place right now. It's over 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know how to move that to Celsius. But for instance, at night, it's common for me to set my thermostat at like 66 or 68. So, you know, you can kind of picture how warm that is. Okay, did I get all the little, I think I did, the little stems for all the leaves. Sorry that I get quiet. How do you think it's looking? You know, the kind of a collage way. And then what I want to do is I want to be able to copy and use this in journal making, you know, like ephemera and embellishments, things like that. Maybe I don't know, like a master board or something. But I just love the way that Gail was using what was already a collage piece in what she was doing. I thought that was cool. I want one to go over here. I'm going to add a few more. I'm sorry if this is boring. I hope it's not boring. Now the watercolor is going to act different on this paper, but I think for this will be okay. I should turn it a little. All right, let's get some leaves on here and see what we think. Is this something you think you'll give a try? I hope you do. And if you have a printer, definitely go take a look over there at the United States Library of Congress. I think I just put the tip of my brush in the water. I think another little leaf right here would look nice. Yeah, good. Maybe after that dries, maybe I'll add a few little flowers. I don't know. We'll see. I just had a little random green dot that I'm incorporating into a leaf. Okay. I think, let me get my brush, get it good and rinse. Those colors that to me look like phthalo, they can really stain and not get out of your brush. Like maybe in here, I'll add a couple little flowers. We'll see. All right, keep going. Keep it going. Add some leaves to this. I'm going to switch back to my number 6. And I'm going into the olive green color. And I'm just mixing it in with what I was using. I'm going to get all that water off. I'm rolling my brush on my paper towel. Okay, there. All right. Again. And I'm on purpose leaving a little white space. Now you might wonder, or maybe you don't, why, when you know that I love to use gold and shimmery paints, and I haven't been doing that. The reason is, if you're going to reproduce, print out, it does not work when you have those metallics. The metallics will just be dull. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't use them when I'm doing things that I'm going to reproduce. Okay, I just rinsed my brush, got all this dry. I'm going into just the bristles. Dab, dab, and now I'm going to just blur this a little bit. A little more water. There. Just a little. I'm not just, rubbing it out. Just giving these flowers another layer. There. I'm gonna do just a little bit more up here. Okay. Yep. Good. Now, more. We've got yellow, we've got red, we've got green, purple. Why not? Why not? And this color's called violet. And I think I'm going to, well, I was going to go this way, but then I thought, well, that's already going that way. That's going that way. I think I'm going to go up and down. Or maybe make an L shape. That could be interesting, huh? Bring it down here. Now this is dark. I just put my tip in. I'm using straight pigment. But like I said, there's going to be doodling involved. I mean, this is it's a mixed media piece on watercolor paper with watercolor as part of the mix. But I'm going to use white gel pen. I'm going to use black, probably Sharpie. Boy, I just feel like this is absorbing the paint. My brush is going dry really fast. Okay. Now, a little more of this violet. Think of what I'm putting on right now as maybe like a bit of washi tape. Could be. Yeah, and with that thought, I'm gonna go right over. What do you say? A little water. Now, water, and I'm gonna pull. I'm pulling this paint all the way across. Water, no more pigment. And these Rosa Galleries, you can get a really heavy payload of pigment. But I like that. Okay, rinsing. And another spot. Okay. All right, we got purple, we got red. I don't think it would hurt to have some red again, but this time I'm going to use madder red. It's a cooler red. That's a warmer red, more towards orange. Can you see that? More towards orange. This one is more towards blue. And I want to go in a spot that, going right over those flowers. Think collage. I just put the tip in of water. I don't want as heavy of a pigment. I want this to be more transparent. A little more. See, I'm going loose. I should be working, where is this color on here? I don't think it is. I should be working as close to the edge as I can, because my printer, as well as most printers, don't bleed all the way to the edges, because then you get toner and ink and stuff all inside your machine. That's why most printers leave a white border. So you're already getting a white border. So I shouldn't put too much of a white border. All right. Okay. Rinsing. I want, obviously, we need some more. Let's have, we've got these kind of beigey browny colors. I'm going into the sepia, which is right here. And this sepia is pretty transparent. I'm going to go right over the leaf. Oh my. If I don't scrub and scrub and scrub it, it won't lift or just blur away because it's dry already. Okay. Nice. This red is still wet, so I'm not putting flowers in there yet. All right, I think we can do another something like this or like this, where it's just on the white, where I don't have it blocked off. But what? Well, let's do a little flower. I'm going into the Cad Lemon, which is lighter than that. I'm just going to put one flower right here. Okay, I'm going to change brushes. I'm going down to that number 2, I think. Yep. And I'm going into this sepia, adding some little sepia to that. Rinse. And I'm going to grab this orange, which it is called flame red, but it's orange to me. And I'm not touching, but leaving a white space. And I'm just dot, 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 dot all the way around. Rinsing, drying my brush real good, drying everything. Now, just putting the tip. I just put the tip in the water. And I'm going to do it again because I put it on the paper towel because it looked awfully wet. And now I'm just going to make some petals. Tip in the water. Going right over my little document there. Tip in the water. I'm not hitting the paper towel, but I'm also being super careful that I'm only getting the tip in the water so that I don't have water rushing down the ferrule. Tip. Now that purple very well may want to bleed into this. I really don't care, but I'm not going to go for that on purpose. But here we go. Yeah, see? That's okay. I did rinse my brush, my bristles a little bit, because I don't want that much purple, but a little is good. Oh. Okay, a little more here. It's going to give it, I'm touching into that color. It's going to give it a little bit of a watercolor look, I think, which is fine. I'm going into the color. See, I rinsed my brush out, and so now I'm just putting the tip in. When I rinsed my brush out to get that extra purple out, I rinsed any lingering pigment, and so that's why I was going back into the color. But you know, you just have to play it by ear when you dip into the more color or not. I like that. Even the purple bleeding, I like that. Okay, going into English red, which is right here. I just put the tip in, making sure I don't have water on the ferrule. I don't. Now I'm putting dots up by the orange. Good. And I'm getting a little more. I didn't go in the water, and I'm just going around the yellow. Nice. Okay, rinsing. And I dried my brush well. I'm going into that, what's it called? Flame red? Yeah. And I'm just gonna make with my brush little lines coming out. Little folds. Cute. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. But I like that. Do I want to add a leaf to it? I'm not sure. Since I'm not sure, I'm going to give it a wait. Okay. Something right there, though. This is when I wish I could stick like a label or something on there, which I have some labels that I made totally that I could put on there. So maybe I'll just wait and leave that for a label. I think a little bit wet. Okay, I'm going to add a few little flowers to this. I'm going to stick with my number 2 brush, rinsing it well, drying it good. Okay. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to use yellow ochre, which is right here, which I have. If this isn't yellow ochre, it's similar. Definitely yellow ochre in it. And a little more. Now, I'm going to make just some little flowers, and they're going to be very simple. I'm going to make circles. Like that. I'm just making them out of circles. Now I'm going to make like a half circle, and that's a flower that's not really facing us. I'm going to do it again over here, half circle. Another one. half circle. Okay. You know, the other person, if I didn't mention him earlier, is Joey Cardmaker, and he has on his Ko-fi page, and it's just under his name, Joey Cardmaker, he has free printables, and there are within that collage pages. So that's a nice resource, don't you think? Okay, let those dry, and I'll work on some centers on those. Maybe I'm going to get some more of this yellow ochre. I'm just putting the tip in, but I'm trying to get pigment. Maybe what I'm going to do is come someplace unexpected, like right here, and I'm just going to make some more of those. Little half one. Couple more. Will I put some leaves in? Maybe just some little leaves like that. But not yet. Okay. I think that's going to look cool, right? All right. Now, I'm grabbing my bigger brush. Went into the water. I've got this color. I'm shaking the whole table. This is madder red mixed with white. And it's almost like gouache. It's very much not transparent. I'm going to put this pink color right in here. Now I've got it watered down, so maybe it's more transparent than I remember, but I know that when I rinse my brush out after using this color, my water turns milk. So I think, I mean, it's been a while since I made that up. I'm pretty darn sure I made it up with white gouache. And so that's why I didn't use the white that's in my palette from Rosa Gallery. Yep. Another spot with that. Okay. We're getting pretty full. And then when we come back, we'll do the doodling. I hope you like this. I'm liking it. Does that count? I really am liking it. All right, these guys are dry enough. They're pretty dry. I put the tip in. I'm going to use this pink. Make sure my hand's not wet. Just like that. Just like downtown. Here we go. Good. Rinse. Okay, let's just add a couple of those leaves, which I know are made with this emerald green. And I'm just going to put a couple leaves in here, just to kind of keep that thought going. Yep. I went right over that. Did you see? Right over that little sepia block. Maybe I'll just put a little like this. Huh. Alrighty. Okay. I think we're doing good. I'm going to add a little bit more to these roses. I know we're running long here. I know. But I think if I can get pretty much the watercolor part done, then when we get back together, we'll do the other. Okay, I'm putting this in areas, and it's madder red. Areas that might be a little bit darker. How do I know where that is? I don't really. Just adding a little shadow. I'm going to get some more on here. All right, good. Okay, well, there will be a part 2. This needs to dry. I am not going to use a heat gun on it. If I add any watercolor, I might add some up here, but I may not. I think that having some doodle on its own will be good. So if you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're going to give it a try, for sure, leave me a comment. Let me know how it goes. I'm going to see you in another video right up here. One is popping up, so I'll look for you there.